Well, it's been a while since I've talked about the government of a country actually funding the investment of video games, and I always think it's very cool when something like this happens. This is more than funding game preservation, for example, and don't get me wrong, I think stuff like that is really cool, but this is funding the actual investment in it. This is something that we've seen a lot from Saudi Arabia, actually. I've talked a lot about that. That's just the big one that comes to mind because, they see the actual value in the investment of video games. It's not just the, maybe moral stance on trying to preserve things. This is actually the business of video games. Like, how much can it profit? Obviously, I'm quite biased because I talk a lot about video games, but I always say that a country is making the right decision when they are investing their resources and money in video games because in the long run, it's going to pay off. No different than, say, technology in general. Well, that is exactly what the United Kingdom has just announced that they are doing. In fact, they're not just funding it, but they are creating a whole council dedicated to video games, literally called the Video Games Council. So this all started last month in June. There was kind of this vague proposition of policy on the UK's website. They talked a lot about creativity and innovation, and ultimately they wanted to significantly increase investment in stuff like this by 2035, so it was a 10-year plan. If we look at the details that they also announced last month, again, it's kind of vague. It's worth mentioning that this was on June 23rd, and 2 days prior, there was this huge £30 million package that was announced by the government called the Games Growth Package. Basically, that is going to be investing $10 million each year for 3 years. And this is all going into the UK video game market. It's trying to basically make it grow and expand. So anyway, that was last month. Now, this month, actually just a few days ago, we finally got a little bit more of a clear picture, I guess, on what they actually meant. This is part of the £30 million package. I don't think this is all of it, probably. But we actually got the launch of the website. I have linked it in the description. Right now, there's not much to it, but yeah, this is the UK Video Games Council. It says this is an industry-led body bringing together leaders from across the games ecosystem to inform and support the government's pro-games growth agenda. And yeah, that all sounds pretty cool. If you see here, they have kind of just some more details on this. You see that it says that it all aims to make the UK the best place globally to invest in creativity and innovation. Kind of the same language in that more vague announcement that was made last month. We do kind of get a little bit more details here when it says that these are the 3 goals of this council, and that is bringing together leaders, shaping policy, and supporting growth. One thing that did stick out to me was the second one where it says shaping policy. It says make policy recommendations and provide industry guidance that reflects the diverse perspectives and needs. I'm just thinking right off the top of my head, I don't know how much of that is DEI. I know there's kind of been a huge pushback on DEI here in America. I don't know how much of that is happening in the UK, but I mean, yeah, we'll see what that includes. How much of it is DEI and how much of it is just general video game investment. I'm sure the majority of it will probably be investment because after all, they're probably wanting to make money from this by way of making their economy grow through the video game ecosystem. And yes, I absolutely support that. I think that's very cool. I don't know how much this is actually going to change things, but this is a 14-member council. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know what your opinions are of this council, but I just want to point out that they have a guy named Nick Button Brown. It was very important for me to point that out. Nick Button Brown is the co-chair. I love that name. I've never heard of this guy in my life, but all of a sudden he's my favorite guy. May you go on to do great things in the Video Games Council, Nick Button Brown. We love it. But yeah, overall, I think this is pretty cool. Anytime a government, as I said, is going to invest in video games, I think that's a huge W. What I am curious on is how much of a difference this will make on the UK gaming ecosystem. If this will actually open new gaming studios, different policies, maybe, I don't know, tax breaks, stuff like that. It could all be really good for video game studios and just overall having some really, really good games come out of the UK.